And today's topic is going to be a little different. The way it's been thought through, it's all about lean agile procurement. If you chew every single word, right, you'll find a difference in itself in today's contemporary world, whereby the lean is so-called the old word, agile is relatively new word, and procurement is absolutely a traditional word that you and I are both aware of it. Okay. So I thought, why don't we get around to a different thought process together? So I was just thinking, what can I present? So every webinar that I try to be a little more innovative in terms of what value can I, what else can I bring it to you this hour of 8 o'clock? And then I thought that let me bring something different to you this time. And that's where I probably brought this topic to you today. So a quick agenda, right? It's a very small agenda. Basically, I'm not going to bore you with the theory of a lean. Okay, of course, I'm presuming that most of you would be aware. In case you're not, you can probably go back and learn what's agile and what's lean agile, right? Separately, altogether. I'll do an introduction of a lean thinking, but that's not the core agenda. But the core agenda is to cover up a case study, cover up a methodology whereby a great company utilize this tool of lean agile and a very specific application of that towards procurement. You must be wondering, lean agile into procurement? Saurabh, are you crazy? Probably even I thought so, right? That I am crazy. But yeah, my thoughts were proven wrong when I actually took a deep dive into the case. And I love this case so much that I thought I'll bring this case as is to you. So guys, don't mind if you see detailed slides. It's just taken, from the perspective of a little more explanation towards you when you glance through or eyeball through the slides. But yeah, the whole thought process was to benefit your applications of lean agile principles, and when they mix together or merge together, lean plus agile, they can do really wonders in terms of the world of applications. It's just not IT. A lot of people ask me sort of what's in it for the respective business department, and we say that okay, lean agile can be as equally applicable as used to be applicable by the IT software development. Not anymore, right? So let's embark upon this journey through a very basic of most likely, right? You are aware of this, right? Probably I don't need to explain you this, but in case you are not, right? Lean is nothing but elimination of waste, right? That's the first thought process, and I will have never ever forget this. It's not just the reduction of the waste, but from the perspective of reduction of the waste, you move toward the elimination of the waste. And towards the elimination of the waste, you got the 7 different types of waste that you try to eliminate. Do I need to explain you this? Absolutely not, right? I think this is very clear from the slide itself. All these 7 categories are actually the waste. And if you look at a value stream, I'm sure you guys would have heard about value stream, and it is not just the supply chain aspect towards the value stream, but it's absolutely a stakeholder's request to stakeholders' delight. Point. Simple. That's it. It's a end-to-end. Your customer, for example, as a stakeholder, its request to probably to add a new feature in the existing product until the time you complete it. That's all. How best can you go lean way? How best can you go real time? How best can you go JIT, just in time? All these quality principles that you heard, that's absolutely the world of lean, right? So with this thought of this slide of the base, I will probably take you through another basic principle, and that's a lean thinking. When the projects need to be lean, a thought process first need to be lean. The reason I included this slide, just to make you aware, when you are running up a staircase, it's a waste. But then the problem is, you might say, Saurabh, if you don't take a staircase, how do you go for a meeting with your customer from second floor to third floor, second level to third level? This thought process itself arose in my mind. And then I said, there must be something around it. If it's required, it is required. Then it's a part of value stream. Simple as that. But anything addition to that is going to be killer. And then I probably thought, if that thinking need to be changed, then there are 7 principles, right? 5 here and 2 from the perspective of your applications of the lean. Let's understand the 5 principles. First, you define the value. Whose value? Stakeholder value that you should derive, that stakeholders should derive, and you should deliver, right? At absolutely best possible cost. And then when you are talking about best possible cost, that means you are talking about reverse engineering approach. Simple as that, nothing else. You are taking a reverse engineering approach towards the optimization. If you try to map the stakeholders' requirement, okay, towards the stakeholder delight, in that value stream, the one statement which is true, and the only one statement which is true, is nothing but end-to-end value delivery to the stakeholder through minimization of the waste, or the best possible situation, elimination of the waste. So that's the second principle, map your value stream. You could have a one value stream across one stakeholder group, or you can have a one value stream across multiple stakeholder group, or you can have a multiple value stream across single stakeholder group, or one single stakeholder. That means your different departments in your company might serve a single stakeholder or a single customer, and vice versa. One single team serving multiple customers. And that cycle from requirements to delight, request to delight, create a flow. How smooth the flow should be, that's your baby, that you need to establish. So at every given point of time, rather than putting a push approach in the stage 4, you put up a pull approach. That means I'm going to pull the work rather than pushing the work downstream, or rather upstream. And I'm going to pull it from my downstream. Simple as that. And in such a manner that if you have multiple people in the value stream whose work is dependent on each other sequentially, okay, then your downstream and your upstream should have a very unique flow without wasting probably theoretically a single second, right? And that's the principle we talk about, establishing pull approach. You only pull when you are ready, not when your downstream want to push. Okay, very simple. And this way, in the last level, you pursue towards perfection. Of course, we know that in contemporary world, nobody has a perfection, right? And in the journey of the pursuit to the perfection, adhering to the 5th principle, you got a 3 different aspects of lean, mura, muri we talk about. Okay, a very simple aspect of mura, muri. Okay, whereby the mura, muri, in terms of mura, you're talking about providing additional value at no additional resource. That means you are just optimizing your resource calendars, optimizing your resource buffers. If you are trying to minimize the number of buffers, etc., you're trying to optimize the value to the stakeholders. At the same time, the Mura talks about, if you look at it, it's talking about synchronization approach, which absolutely increase the frequency or increase the productivity of your team to the stakeholders in the most efficient manner. Okay, and if you talk about Muri, it refers to overutilization of your resources. In the world of construction, for example, if you are utilizing the JCB or even the equipment in your training room called projector, if you're overutilizing that, including the employees as human resources, you're exploiting them. Probably their productivity will go. So working backwards from Muri to trying to measure the Muri stuff, right? In terms of you, we all understand the resource labeling stuff, like the resource over labeling rather in the world of project management. So if you talk about that and move backwards, then from Muri, you will move to Mura. You try to measure the unevenness, try to maximize the efficiency and productivity both, and ultimately you will achieve a state of Mura, which will deliver a value to your stakeholders. And in the world of Lean, we always talk about build, measure, learn approach. You build something, you measure something, and you learn. And the cycle goes on. And the cycle goes on. As you see, as you could see from this, the word cloud, right? The cycle goes on. So in a nutshell, you try to develop a hypothesis, whether this is going to be a success or a failure. This exploration of a new product development, for example, any product that you take, okay? I'm probably taking up a brand new shoes as a new product, whereby I put up, this is a smart shoes, which are AI enabled, okay, which has a smart chip in it. When I walk, okay, our thought process is very simple. When I walk, it conserves the energy in the smart chip. And then probably that kind of kinetic energy can be converted to any form of electrical energy. Look at the thought process. You might be thinking, how small is the chip in a shoe? But that's not my worry. My worry is, can I build this quickly and probably fail it? First, develop hypothesis. Either going to be successful or not successful. Either one. Hypothesis is nothing but the statement yes or no. If you say yes, hypothesis, validate your assumptions that you take. If you say yes, then validate. Put some assumptions and validate. Validate through the actually constructing the product, right? Over the period of time, you build that product, build that feature in the shoe, okay, and then do a test. It's just that build and test, build and test, build and test, or vice versa, test and build, test and build, test and build. Analyze the outcomes and learn from your mistakes internally, and customer feedback externally when they say, guys, your product sucks. It doesn't meet our requirements. Wow. This is what the lean approach is. Without wasting any more time. The first iteration of the product, customer rejected to give you a great learnings. This is how the great entrepreneurs of the world think through. Having said this, guys, last 10 minutes, I didn't want to take any further than this. If you're really interested, please go ahead and read a book named Lean Startup by Eric Ries. You'll completely understand the application of lean from a business perspective, irrespective of which department you belong to, which part of the LOB line of business or business unit or strategic business unit you belong to, doesn't matter. My key thought was to introduce to a great case study today. Yes, the world of Air France. We're going to talk about a very specific application of Air France in terms of Air France cargo. Okay. So there is a amalgamation between the great France-based carrier and the Netherlands-based the Mariner cargo, and a great collaboration between them in the business of Air France KLM. Okay, if you really understand, KLM is a Dutch airline, and Air France is a big behemoth. And this is actually the background of that, a very simple one. So most of you probably would know about it, but a very specific application to the cargo industry talking about here. Let's understand what I'm going to drive the point towards. So the case goes like this, and this is a this is a real case. Air France, okay, primarily wanted to improve their operational efficiency. If you look at the carrier, right? If I'm talking about a generic Air France, okay, a flight, when it lands and the flight it takes off, think about a time wastage. Have you ever thought about it? Now, let's say, for example, you are having a hopping journey. That means you are not supposed to move out of the flight, and you are supposed to stay back in while the new passengers come in and they hop or on board the airline. Assume that it's going to be 2 hours for you. How bad do you feel that 2-hour journey? Pathetic, right? Waiting period of 2 hours. The word of the great Captain Gopinath realized this in India. For example, an air can arise towards the maximization of the operational efficiency. This is this very similar kind of a thought process. The on-ground operations for cargo now, okay, not the air freight, of course, I mean, not the airline, but cargo, had a challenge in terms of poor efficiency, probably to the level of not more than 60%. That means there is a huge waste when you talk about door-to-door delivery. In any air freight business, my friends, end-to-end timelines, absolutely crucial. Even probably a 5 minutes delay. And think about perishable products. You're carrying the perishable product like the dairy product through the cargo. Forget about the next day delivery, on the same day delivery that the FedEx commits to you, for example. Can you ever imagine the value chain in the whole supply business? And can you just think about our lean principles over there? I can probably think about that. It was critical that the old system had to revamp, probably re-engineered. A new booking system also was required, and the timelines were only 6 months. And the automation around the booking as well, of course. The biggest challenge for them, in a short period of time, they did have a KPIs defined. How are they going to build a high performance team, let alone high performance, at least a team that would work together? Few of the team members might not come from cargo industry, so that, what you call it as the whole team building process, forming, storming, norming, performing, had to be done. And the product enhancement or the new booking system itself had to be created by the team. and max end-to-end time period was 6 months. Efficiency and productivity was the key. Time was essential in a nutshell. New system was to be done. And of course, a team to be built. That's a crux of the business case now. Let me take you to a little bit of a different thought process now. Airlines had a very traditional procurement policy, just like any other organization. Your procurements have to have 3 different quotes, or maybe the bids to be laid out, the RFPs, request for proposals, to be found or to be identified, to be procured from the potential suppliers or suitors, and then analysis to be done, bids to be opened, and then final player to be selected. Anything not less than 30 to 40 days end-to-end cycle. If you have a 6-month project, this 30 to 40 day itself kills you in terms of selection of the vendor. Procurement policy was subject. The Frederick, right? You could probably see a French name here. He used to be head of IT and operations, Air France Cargo. His challenge was, how do we get rid of this policy? Or how do we maneuver around? If not completely get rid of it, how can I do some automation on a policy? How can I change the culture on procurement side of it? Air Cargo, by the way, in terms of the world of IT, they were absolutely using SAFe. And I'm sure you would have heard about SAFe, Scaled Agile, right? In case you have not, go back and probably read something more about Scaled Agile, right? Because the journey I'm taking is a little more advanced towards application of the Agile. Where do I fit my SAFe already running in the world of air cargo procurement? Is there a question coming to your mind? Yes, it should. And wait, we have an answer to it. Second thought, in case it's not coming to your mind, it's coming to my mind as I speak. To be honest, I have not thought about it before. It's coming to my mind right now as I speak to you guys very openly. How can that SAFe implementation scale across not just one department, but all the departments in the business of cargo, end to end towards the value chain of the customer? How can I move this SAFe? Not just restricting to one department. Moving forward from, or probably getting around the procurement, how do we move forward to the business and other departments? That's the next level thought process. You should probably have it in your mind. I already mentioned about it in terms of the RFP and in terms of the, it's actually talking about several months to do this. Okay, so that was a big challenge. Now the problem situation. Okay, the key problem situation at hand, or key challenge rather, delivering a new IT application for cargo within 6 months, as we already talked about booking system. Second, cargo truck management system, we call it as CTMS in the world of Air France Cargo. It's supposed to be so efficient that a stakeholder talking about a request at 8 o'clock in the morning get a delivery by 5 o'clock in the evening to the destination. I'm not sure if you heard about the FedEx automation a few years back, when the information system was specifically designed for FedEx. Probably the first kind of implementation at a very small level was introduced in the world of DTDC cargo. But the FedEx has a very strategic thought process those days in terms of automation, bringing up the productivity, minimizing the waste. If I look at that kind of a value chain, the FedEx example, in this cargo truck management system, then probably I'm not just talking about one booking system, but I'm talking about end-to-end information system itself to be built. Are you thinking, how can I be an AI enabled? Yes, you should. That's the next level for them probably to go AI way. Let's restrict ourselves right now to Lean Agile. Recruit a new team, as we already discussed. The existing team consists of many different contractors. The world of the business that we live, on an average, 70% is through the channel partners, contractors, subcontractors, etc. Probably more at times. I'm talking about on an average across the companies. So that is very crucial. That team is your team, of course, no doubt about it. And it's not big, so big, to handle this kind of a CTMS, right? So if I look at it, one side you want efficiency or effectiveness improvement in productivity improvement. Second side, you have a new team who should get into the business mindset. The third side, everyone should learn Lean Agile approach. How these three things go hand to hand. And of course, the biggest challenge is 6 months. All right, critical project timelines and the huge pressure from the business to deliver. So let's understand this now. Few quick roles in the world of Lean Agile. They had 1, 2, 3, 4. Head of cargo, Frederick. Product owner, Simon Spoor. Eric, head of managed delivery for the supply chain aspect or evaluation, and Sophie Durand. And Lionel, Agile coaches. Whenever you think about this word called LAP, it's Lean Agile Procurement, nothing else. Right? So these two consultants, so-called internal consultant, external, whatever you call them as, the enablers to the whole team, driving their success towards it. Now, what was the solution taken? Okay. Out of the bidding process, which was quickly done, there were 4 pre-selected vendors through which the bidding process existed. Went through a 1 hour discussion only, rather than having 4 hours or 8 hours kind of a in-person meeting, etc., and wasting everybody's time. It's just single 1 hour webinar. And then they gave them 2 complete days to do some kind of proof of concept. I'm sure you heard about hackathon, and you would have heard about so many, athlons, so-called. One of them is, we call it as POC athlon. Okay? Proof of concept, run of the mile. All 4 vendors took participation in that competition. They were supposed to, within 2-day workshop, build, measure, and deliver at least a model that could give Air France Cargo a high level confidence. Why should I select the best. In case I'm going to select the best. So, building a cross-functional team, 12 people, was a major milestone for the company. And the 12 people team running through this 2 days across various partners. It's a big challenge for them. Why? Everybody has a different mindset. Everybody on a different page. There's a requirement to bring them on board. Vision, mission, goals, objectives to be driven through the organization's principles and to be brought inside the culture of this particular project itself. And as a part of that, building a 12-member team, running the POC hackathons, and giving them 2 days to prove their mettle, the Air France Cargo actually took this to the next level after those 2 days, right? And 45 people met in one of the most beautiful airport in the world, Schiphol Airport. I'm sure you would have heard about it, right? And the whole objective for this meeting was to take the final team to match the work style of the current organization with the selected vendors' work style. So that's supposed to be their own team, the vendors' team is supposed to be onboarded quickly within a very short period of time. After 2 days, after the selection, this is another potential step towards the final solution they took. And then selected winner, okay, was been given an opportunity to collaborate with the whole team of the stakeholders across the groups, not just the procurement team in the Air France Cargo. And then those 45 people which made together had all been brought into the same cultural mindset of the company. Which means if I had to think about a 6-month project, then how sequentially and how parallelly, without wasting any more time, without getting into too much detailed planning, can we quickly jump onto it just based on the POC they did? I started the project immediately after one. Simple as that. So if I move backward, guys, from here till the 12-member team, which was finalized, the decision was quick. The selection was quick. And it was very easy for the organization to quickly move on because everybody was brought on the same page, primarily. These are the timelines. Potentially, just 3 months. Look at that. Starting from 21st January onwards, shifting the traditional request for proposal approach to the lean approach. Just call up the guys, set up the Teams invite or WebEx invite or your Zoom invite. So do that one-hour webinar with the different teams, 4 different teams. Simple. Okay. Air France Cargo, alignment workshop, 25th Jan. Webinars executed. Good amount of timelines. Okay. been given to them to do the due diligence and project start off. Look at this, 21st Jan, assuming that this is a 1st Jan kickoff, okay, or for that matter, worst case, 21st Jan kickoff as well, you have till 21st June to deliver. 21st July, worst case, yeah, 21st July. Let's assume 30th June. That means you probably still have 4 months to deliver it. And then the delivery happens. I'm not worried about the remaining aspect of it. I'm not showing you that because that delivery will be absolutely been taken by business and IT teams. In terms of the BAs, the requirements, elicitation, gathering, analysis, etc. That cycle, any issue as you know of, right? And DevOps principle, I'm not going to get into details of development operations right now, but that will happen after that. My primary target was to just show you this one. And you might be wondering, how come 25 days in between? Just to ensure to spend great amount of time with all those 4 partners, one backing up another. Okay. One backing up another and do the due diligence so that these timelines can be minimized. This is just a beginning. This is just the beginning of a lean approach. You're not yet there. This is the first iteration in the first product development of that new booking system or new truck management system towards Lean Agile principles. Many more iterations to go in the second, third developmental aspects. Results, very simple. 6 weeks, as I just showed you this in the timelines, right? Projects are started after a week. First release of the product, only 2 months. Can you see this? Rather than waiting for all the 6 months to deliver, immediately after 2 months, which means 8 weeks, first major release was out. And within this 8 weeks, I'm sure there would be 4 different iterations, 2 weeks each, in the world of Agile. And every iteration would have got their iteration planning, iteration demonstration, iteration retrospective, along with the daily stand-up of ceremonies that you learned earlier as well. And then the major milestones reached every month. And at the 3rd month, after the first 2 months, the 5th month, project was over. A month ahead of time, overall. Got a great feedback from not only just the customers, but from starting from the workshop itself. Vendors praised the air cargo effort as a customer, that it had a great buy-in to the vision that the company had. The workshop primarily allowed, as I already discussed with you, you probably not need to read it, but it allowed them to actually go and very willingly do this POC. Sorry for the spelling, but it should be that long. Okay. And the immediate start, the first product release was mid-May, and a major release by September. That was subsequent one. That was subsequent one. My first target, the milestone, was that 6 months from January. Achieved it by mid-May. Done. The major milestone, probably through the various releases. In the complex, fast-changing environment, my friends, this is one of the classic amalgamation of the cultural mindset on the traditional policies of a procurement to the business mindset to the lean agile mindset. Simple as that. It's a three-way classic collaboration. And just not the internal departments of Air France Cargo, but it's also with the respective partner. One of the key major aspect was the right selection of the partner, as you could see it. Leveraging this so-called positive risk exploit as a next enhancement principle, this could just add further value in the future. Delivering multiple milestones. The milestone, one major milestone, you don't stop here. That's why you say September, right? But another major milestone was achieved. The first one in May, second one in September. Finally, just to wrap up my talk, and probably I leave it open for the questions. As I told you, I'll keep it very short today so that I get maximum questions from you guys. But I'd love to spend about 120 seconds on this. The most important aspect, guys, out of this is value delivery. That you don't see it here. But together, all the 5 steps deliver a value, including adding a value. That's a benefit of it. If you look at, rather than only reduction of waste, if you focus on elimination of the waste, it's not just theoretical, but it's so practical. I can keep talking about the framework of lean, but that's probably not the key focus here. If you have to summarize this in the one single slide, it would be this. Through the applications of the lean agile procurement, waste reduction, first principle, or the first step, in terms of not spend more than enough time or just enough time required to do the procurement planning. Second, selection of the right partner. Don't spend much of a time. You could have realized that. Third, in the world of procurement, when you actually start the execution of the project, you only engage right people at the right time and no waste over there. Only right people at the right levels of the right skills and right competencies, thereby managing your wastes. You, in your resource calendars, you're not blocking unnecessary stakeholders as well when they're not needed. And whoever you block, you still ask first iteration, second iteration, is it required? Is it required? And eliminate them, thereby eliminating the waste from your resource calendar as well. And towards your value chain, thereby you bring better control in a human value chain towards, when I say inventory control, right? Not only just for the raw material, but a human inventory as well. You bring a better control. Better control bring in more faster work, improving the efficiency, increasing the productivity. And every single element in the chain, I'll repeat, every single element in the chain will add a value. Every single element in the chain will add a value. Gillette, if the classic example of a traditional value chain. Manufacturing, okay, order processing, distributors, stockists, dealers, retailers, every single step should ideally not just be increasing the price, but probably through some of these 5 steps. That's exactly what I wanted to talk, apply this to the world of procurement. And this is a real case. In case you are interested, of course, you can go through the case study. Finalizing this. I leave this floor open, my friends, for next 10 minutes, 15 minutes for Q&A in case you have. But this is exactly how I would like to wrap up with this slide. A typical initiation, planning, execution, controlling, monitoring, control, closure process. How are they mapped to the lean principles at every step or a stage? Any questions, guys? My core essence here, and a request to you all, go back to your organizations and think about where all you can eliminate the waste. Not just this is just classic example of procurement. That means nothing is impossible. If they delivered, if they did it for procurement, I can do it for any other business area. Well, it takes time. Yes, of course it takes time. It needs effort. Of course it needs efforts. It needs money. It needs sponsorship. Of course it needs. But if you and I don't put an effort, who else will? In the world of AIs, the robots is not going to go unless you program them well and do the negotiation with the business stakeholders. Will you expect them? No, you will stand up for the negotiations, correct? But you can have them help you through AI-enabled principles. That's the next step towards Lean project. How best can I make it? So probably I can spend another webinar on this, and I can probably apply AI principles to Lean Agile. Okay.